when we're laying on our deathbed, you're not going to worry about how much money you had, how much power you had, how much prestige. You're going to see that that was all game, that that was all an illusion. The only thing that's going to matter is the impact you had on other people's lives.
We are all on a separate journey. But the beautiful thing about our life here on this earth is at my funeral, they ain't going to talk about my success. They're going to talk about who Nick was and how Nick lived and how Nick loved and encouraged.
Success is incredibly important, but even more important than success, it's having an impact. It's knowing you haven't walked the planet in vain. It's knowing that because you've been here, you've blessed lives, you've developed people, and you have made the world a better place.
The effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Everything you gain in life will rot and fall apart, and all that will be left of you is what was in your heart.
Life is a mirror, and life gives us not what we want. Life gives us who we are. When you were born, you cried while the world rejoiced. Live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries while you rejoice.
Have you ever stopped to wonder about the soul behind the spotlight? The truth behind the headlines? Beneath every glamorous facade lies a story waiting to be told. A journey full of triumphs, struggles, heartaches, and victories. Welcome to People, the groundbreaking new series here on the Alpha Warrior Show. Tonight, we're setting politics aside. No hidden agendas, no filters, just pure, raw humanity. In a world that constantly tries to categorize us, it's easy to forget what binds us together. Our shared experiences, our laughter, our tears, and the authentic moments that define who we truly are. Each week, we're going to explore the powerful, emotional, and beautiful imperfect lives of people who inspire us, captivate us, and remind us that we're all in this incredibly messy and extraordinary journey together. We'll laugh, we'll reflect, and we'll dive deep into the stories that often go untold, unapologetically, real, and deeply personal. Get ready to meet the heart behind the headlines, the reality behind the reputation, the persona behind the person, the grit that makes these amazing people tick. This is People, real stories, real connections, real life. And when we come back from this commercial, it's showtime, and I hope you enjoy. Step up to plate with Viper bats, American-made, precision-crafted wood bats for athletes of all ages. Viper bats are made for players by players using hand-split maple, birch, and the ash billets ensure unmatched durability and big league quality. Founded by a father and son with a deep love for baseball, every Viper bat reflects their player-driven passion and expertise. With tons of color options and a 45-day warranty on most bats, swing with confidence. Viper bats, crafted for players, built to last, made to the love of the game. Swing the best wood bats you'll ever hold. Swing Viper bats. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/bats and use promo code Badlands15 for 15% off of non-blemished bats. That's badlandsmedia.tv. Bats promo code Badlands15. Wear your freedom proudly and celebrate America in style with Scales Freedom Collection. Scales offers a line of long-sleeve performance shirts, buffer soft tees, and hats with ocean-inspired patriotic prints. Every piece is designed to keep you cool, protected, and proud to be American. Shop now at badlandsmedia.tv/scales and enter the code Badlands at checkout for 20% off your next purchase. Take a look at the shirts. Take a look at the hats. Again, shop now at badlandsmedia.tv/scale. Enter Badlands for 20% off.
I'm sending out for tacos. Yeah, put your order in. Hey, isn't that the DeWitt employee who got kidnapped?
Hold up. Where's the badge?
I need to speak to Mr. DeWitt.
He's not taking meetings today. What's under your jacket?
Please, I need to speak with him.
You know what's been going on here today? Wait. You're the guy.
They said if I don't deliver a message to Mr. DeWitt, they're gonna blow me up and anyone within 100 feet of me. No. Where's DeWitt?
He can't come down. He said to give me the message.
That's not gonna work! They said I had to speak to him directly.
Hey, man. He's not coming. I'm sorry.
What am I supposed to do?
I'm sorry.
Just get him on the line. Let me talk to him. Help me!
All right, Luke, the street. Help patrol form a perimeter. Deacon with me.
I need everyone back! Hondo, security took DeWitt out of back entrance.
We know they're using a cell phone trigger. Did we shut down those cell towers yet?
Just got confirmation. Every tower in a half-mile radius is down.
ETA on the bomb squad.
It's gonna be at least 15 minutes.
Captain, that's cutting it too close. We're going in. Deacon. Jonas, stay still. Stay still. We're LAPD SWAT. We're here to help
Just
you.
get away from me and save yourselves.
We're gonna get this thing off of you, but we're gonna do everything nice and easy. Do you understand?
Move it back! Come on, let's go! Move! Keep going, move out!
Hey, is it me or is that dude seem way too interested in making that phone call?
You think it's cell phone trigger?
Hey! Let's go.
Hey,
Move out of the way!
Wait, suspect! Green army jacket! Watch out! Move!
Take the stairs. I'll get the other end.
All right, I'm cutting left side. What was that?
Tripwire must have been hidden in his trap.
Wait, did you hear that?
Yeah, we triggered a failsafe. We gotta get this off him now.
Come on,
Jonas, look at me. You're gonna be fine.
I got nothing. Me neither.
Deacon, ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Jonas, move! Go! Oh no!
Deke!
Over here. I'm glad to see you guys.
Where's the suspect?
He got away.
Got away!
Yeah, we lost him.
Ladies and gentlemen, those are our sponsors. Do me a solid, go down in the description. And while you're there, the links to tonight's guests are all going to be there. And this is a person you're definitely going to want to follow. You're going to want to learn more about as much as we cover here. But what are we talking about? We are talking about tonight's guest, a man who has run through Hollywood, faith, politics, and persecution. Siaka, and here we go, Massaquoi, has been a Hollywood actor for more than 15 years, appearing in shows like Lethal Weapon, SWAT, NCIS LA, and most recently, Lady Ballers. But during COVID lockdowns of 2020, he saw the chaos and the lies being pushed by mainstream media, and he began to speak out. Since then, Siaka has walked a road very few could imagine. Targeted for censorship, raided by the FBI, arrested for being in DC on January 6th, and yet standing taller than ever in his faith, his convictions, and his freedoms. This is People, and here's the story of Siaka. And you guys are going to enjoy this. Let me bring our guest on the stage. Brother, how you doing?
What's up? How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be part of this new build right now. So remember when, that's all I got to say. Remember when you got Tucker Carlson or Megyn Kelly level and you're like interviewing presidents and governors. I'll be like, hey, remember when I came on for that early on in the process? Like, let's go.
Heck yeah. You know, it's like you know, man upstairs had a plan. Mm-hmm. And, you know, if somebody would have told me 6 years ago, hey, you're going to be behind a camera and a microphone doing podcasts, I would have been like, out of your mind. No,
I know.
I'm chasing bad guys. I'm jumping. Yeah. That's what I'm doing. You're crazy.
Dude, right there with you. If someone had said like, "Hey, in like a few years, you're going to run for office. The U.S. government is going to come after you and then charge you," I'm like, "No, I just wanted to be an actor. I mean, I don't want to get involved in all that stuff, right? I just want to, go on screen and entertain people and kind of help build a life and then and do something for my future children." But here we are.
and here we are, 100.
Yeah.
So of course, when I first started doing this, it was August of 2021. It was because people weren't saying the truth about J6. People weren't saying the truth about the jab, the bioweapon. People weren't saying the truth about the elections. And there were so many people that I knew had a voice. I'm like, you can turn the tide right now in a weekend with the level of influence you have.
Yeah. That's something and it's not, and the level of influence goes a few different ways because you mentioned earlier, but I was hit with the censorship. I was on the Secretary of State's list in California of censorship, right? For all social media. And it was crazy because I didn't think I was doing much, or I didn't think at the time too, I just maybe had like 6,000 followers just from my acting and everything else. But once I started to espouse what I believe, I mean, it just started to roll kind of crazily, right? They shut that down, but it's not even just the hey, I got a lot of followers, let me say something. This is something I notice on our side of the fence a little bit too much, is that the left tends to go out and farm like the new breed, their bench. They go out there, whether they pay them, and we hear all these different stories come out or whatever, but they always make it feel like young, fresh, youthful lives here. What the right doesn't do is, for example, I know these guys, I've talked to your, and I'm not saying him specifically is doing this or not doing this. I'm just telling you the level of some of the people I talk to, but from your Charlie Kirk to your, Ben Shapiro to your Candace Owens, to your Megyn Kelly, to all these different people. One thing that is so easy to do is a retweet, a repost, put on your story. I see, like, for example, Gina Carano's really sweet with that. Sometimes I'll send her stuff and she'll put it up there. But that can also do it because, I think a lot of times on our side, there's a lot of captains, not enough sailors. Where on the other side, they're all sailors and no captains, except for like the message comes out and they're like, follow the message. And I think there's sometimes when there's so many captains, they don't understand. And by human nature, we don't necessarily look back to kind of bring forward, but that little retweet, that little share again, put on your stories or something. You and I, if we're following Charlie and some story comes up that is interesting, makes a watch, we're going to go to that page. We're going to sit there and look and then go, let me see what this person, that's just what the nature is. And I think that is a great way. I try to do it with a lot of different things that I see. If I really dig it, I'll follow, especially, and this is just me, especially if I see like a Black conservative, I'm like, I'm following you, bro. Cause I get it. I get being ostracized. I get being censored. I'm following you. And then I'm like retweeting your stuff, or I'm putting it on my stories, because my little voice can help you get past 200-350 because you're being censored. Hey, that's the easiest thing I can do, right? Where there's people with millions of followers, and it's like, bro, if you're Charlie and you're retweeting Benny Johnson, like, great, the information's out there, but are you actually kind of building up more pillars of strength so that if Benny goes down, we have 4 more? Why 2 of them were retweeted by Charlie back in the day, yourself, whoever it is. If we start to do this, because the hierarchy is going to a certain extent stay there, because there's access that just will be, right? Like Charlie got access to Trump. That's not going to change if you get, another 250,000 followers. It's all is going to do, though, is make your audience and you as a platform that much stronger. So if they start coming at people again, now you've built, in a sense, your own army to stand up against that, while Charlie still has his own army. So I think that we could do so much more on this side of the fence of just simply trying to look for those that are out there putting their selves on the line, and just try to lift the voice within social media. Like, I get it, not everyone has money, not everyone has that power, but what we do have, let's try to use that to go, this is my homie, we're doing good here, follow this guy, like, let's build that up so we have so many more influencers that aren't curated by the powers that be.
100%. Absolutely. And the cool thing about what you're laying out there is, you know, the chance that I've had to interview people, you know, like I said, there's some people who don't know their name, but their stories are stories that need to be heard by the world.
Right.
And there's other people that people do know their name, and their stories also need to be heard by the world. And what I learned in doing this is a lot of people would, you know, tell me or send me messages, which I loved. It moved my heart of, you know, man, I wish I was as strong as you. Man, I wish I could do what you do.
Right.
Man, you know, I can't believe this doesn't bother you. I can't believe this doesn't bring you to your knees. And I'm like, you got me twisted. You don't think this hurts? You don't think I get scared? You don't think the choices that were in front of me made me panic? I'm just like you. My story,
right.
You know, we're the same. We put our pants on the same. We are the same. And what I started realizing is we have all these magnificent people in this fight, of obviously you being one of them. That's why I wanted you to be on this show. And I wanted people to realize, listen, you need to learn about these people so you could realize, you know, we do have a lot in common. So why am I not doing it?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, that's that. And that was something, part of the impetus of why I, you know, put myself out there and wanted to. Initially, I'll never forget, I went to Huntington Beach, and me and my buddy were going around like early in 2020 trying to like see what's up. And we happened to park. I don't know, you know Huntington Beach, you've been over there. So you know the pier, right? You know that pier can be a hotbed of just good, bad, and everything in between. And it was our first time there for something. And where we came up the stairs to the actual pier itself, we get there and we're right, and it's right here. Like you don't have time to look at it and go, it's like we walk in, we're just like, you're fighting it off, right? And it was like when BLM was high. So BLM, it was a BLMer that were there, that group were there, we're going back and forth. And we're going back and forth, and I get involved, and it was my first real debate. So I was a little hot, like hotter than I should have been. I brought it down, I've gotten better. But later a guy came over to me and he goes, hey man, you know, I really appreciate what you, not just what you said, but how you say it, because I think these things, but I don't know how to like put it together and put it out there. And so one of the things I really wanted to do was, as I listen to different messages, it's like, it's different songs, right? It's like when you hear Oh Holy Night done a cappella by NSYNC 1 minute, but then done by Nat King Cole the other, but then done by Beyonce the other, or whoever. It's like, truth is true. We need different operating systems for it to be distilled out to the public, because Dom Lecrae told me this once when I met him at Turning Point. He's like, look, I can't post like Charlie does because my audience speaks and moves a different way. So I have to, whether we like it or not, we're not here or there, whether we think like, hey man, you know, it's ask, not ask. No, but it's like, it's like, that's not the point. The point is there are so many different ways to get to these individuals. And like, to your point, if a lot of these people who feel like, man, I'm nothing, is you'd be surprised how much someone in your friend circle or the people in your group look at you and wait for you to say the thing. You know, even if they hear it out there, it sounds good. It's all sometimes not even solidified. Tell Joe, their next door neighbor, that they see get up every day, you know, take care of his family, walk the dog, mow the lawn. He seems like he's in shape for 50. And you're like, oh, okay. And then he says that one thing about, you know, and then you're like, that's it. I believe it. So I think that a lot of people, I would tell people like, you're sick of what you see, run for office. And that meant you can get involved and you can do good and you can change it. So a lot of people here, it's like, you are the new media, as you know, Elon Musk said, but you're also the new town crier. You're the new extra daily kind of report for newspapers, and people will trust you more closer to you than you actually think. They may not tell you all the time, so you just have to move through that. But like the conviction of, in a sense, calling out and calling like you see it, there's something there that the average person, and we're in a very, very special time, that you can be out there and actually give back more to your community. Start small, maybe not start like trying to attack all the big things over in Washington or the geopolitical stuff. But if you know, like they're setting up stop signs in areas where they're not supposed to, and you know, I heard this, the city council then it's illegal, but then they spend $20,000 with a lawyer trying to see if they can get the reason why they want to keep it going, even though it's legal. And it's like, wait a minute, they're spending $20,000 of your dollars. Everyone in the town should know why they're spending $20 on something that's already deemed illegal. No, you don't spend $20 of our money trying to make it right, make it fit what they want to do. So I think we can start to go. It's not about the size of the dog. It's about the size, it's about the size of the fight in the dog. And I think that so many more of us And we've seen it now. We've seen the experts fall by the wayside. We've seen the celebrities show exactly who they are. Putting the strength back into the individual in their town, man, we would miss so much of the issues we have been facing. But moving forward, we can encourage and inspire, like my son, to get up there and go, I live in this town. This is my town. I'm going to love and care for it. I'm not just turn my blind eye to it because, I'm too busy online seeing what's going on in Tokyo. Like, no. That's cute. That's a vacation. This is home. This is where you need to clean up. And any and everyone, don't think that your voice, because you don't have the followers that you think it makes it, that your voice isn't powerful and strong and you should be silent. This is a time for the average man to step up and be a part of the change we want to see,
100%. This is definitely the time of the average man. I agree completely with that. I want to do some Pulp Fiction here. I want to go back in time and bring us back to where we are here. You're born in Rochester, New York.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And your mom came over from Liberia.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. And you get where does we both of us got a couple decades behind us.
Yeah.
We're at the age where we kind of look up and be like, can you give me can this be the halfway mark?
Yeah. Actually, I look up and go, whether I go down or not, can you help out my knees and back? Can you help me out with my knees and back? I just want to be able to still move. Okay.
100%, man. So I want to, let's learn your story of how we got to today. So, you're born out in Rochester, your mom comes over from Liberia, and where does it start for you?
Well, moms came over from Liberia. She was going to school and had her master. She got her master's in nursing and started from the University of Rochester and started working here. I was born, and then we went back to Liberia for a few years, and then the Civil War happened in 83. And so, little side note, 2001, when we went back for my uncle's funeral, was the first time all our family were together back in Liberia since 1983. So you see like how far cousins, aunts, uncles, like people who weren't even born yet, now we're back there, all together. And then we moved to Chicago area. We moved to Chicago. I lived with my dad for a few years down back in Rochester. Then I moved back with my mom, and then growing up in Evanston, Illinois, which was a very liberal place. I would say it was like that classical liberal feel that was going on, but they were kind of, looking back at it, it was like they're always on the edge of like the protesting liberal. I mean, in senior year of high school, I led the anti-violence march and rally in my town, where we walked from our high school all the way down to the downtown, and I was the MC in front of like the Fountain of Evanston, which is like we had priests come up and everyone was like, we need to stop the violence. And then it was great, like theater to a certain extent, but like, looking back now, I could tell we weren't putting a pulse on the issue. We're just kind of the platitude. We're out there. Violence sucks. Great. Let's stop it. Yay. And then see you guys, next year. But in Evanston, I flourished. It was like I say, classical liberal. We had our 4th of July parade. It was still like felt pro-America, but from a liberal standpoint, it didn't seem like it was from European standpoint, which I think a lot of the new modern liberalism seems to live in. I was successful in football in high school, and I got a scholarship to play at the University of Iowa. And it was, it was pretty crazy because it was I got recruited by basically all the Big Ten at that time, from Michigan to Notre Dame to Northwestern. It was like kind of overwhelming for my mom, who doesn't know anything about U.S. sports and scholarship, and she comes from Liberia and she's very intellectual. And then now all these guys are like, your son's wonderful. We want your son. And she's like, are you paying for college? And they're like, yeah. She's like, all right, I don't care. Like, she didn't care what school I went to. She's like, as long as you're getting paid for it, that's all that mattered. But I went to school, and that's when I would have to say that's when a lot of the lack of strong foundations in the way of faith, in the way of understanding the business of college sports, in the way of understanding really how to what you're looking for in a partner, in a way of how to moderate yourself when you are out there without your folks for the first time, access to everything from women to alcohol. I think college just And then, access being a football player, it just exacerbated a lot of those issues that maybe somebody else in my position, not, with a father or not under that kind of college scholarship, it may have built, later on in life. But man, when I got away from home, and I'll say when I was at school, and you're a football player, I mean, the trappings that you're not ready for, bro. Like, I mean, I had girls who were senior, like I was a freshman, senior in high school at the local school, call up, because back then you could actually look in everyone knew that we stayed at this housing complex called the Slater. That was our dorm. And you could look up the person's name and their last 4 digits of the phone would be there. So you'd be like, if everything's like, that's dorm room 8, it'd be like 84456 or whatever, so you'd be like, boop, 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 and it'll go right to the number. So, I mean, it was the point where like seniors in high school were calling up to hook up. Senior girls would call you up there and be like, hey, I'm so-and-so, this, that, and the other. And it was from the local high school, let alone then you have the girls, the freshmen who are there, to the seniors. Then you have the girls who are specifically what are called the jersey chasers, who are on football players there. You at a place like Iowa City, you are the celebrity because, they don't have a professional team. So when you want to go into the clubs and you want to go into the bar, everyone's standing in line. They're like, come on. So you're starting to establish this like expectation lifestyle. Like, I'm expected to get in. I'm expected to hook up with whoever I want to, in a sense, because, look at who we are and where we are. Then I'm expected to get drinks. And for me, alcohol, I'll say women as well, but alcohol even more was one of my biggest weaknesses. Thank God, March 15th will be 10 years, God willing, and that I haven't drank. And so, like, I remember there were times where I'd go out, and I don't know how, I'd come out and I'd made more money than I went out with, just because of so much free alcohol. They're like, here you go, this, that, and the other. We're drinking before, we're drinking after. I remember I would go to practice. Games were Saturday. We go out Saturday night, Sunday, and this was a good or bad thing because my pores work really well, so it pours all the poison out. But when you then go to practice the next morning, and I didn't play much. So when you didn't play on Saturday, then you scrimmaged on Sunday. So I go out and I'd actually do good. So, which is a trap, because if you do good coming off a hangover, you're like, it's not that bad, right?
Yep.
Do good. But then when we have our position coaches, a little huddle at the end, we all come in, and Coach Jackson always say, somebody smells like alcohol. And I'm like, and everyone knew, and it's like, you can look back and laugh now and, at it. But when I really think about who that kid was and what he was doing, he was holding on to this identity of a football player. And that's where he was getting the pats on the back, and that's where he was getting the access, and that's where he was getting the smiles from the authority figures and all that. And if football wasn't successful, I had not established or I had a true understanding of who I was, right? Because the things that I like comic books, but you're a football player, so you kind of keep that on the low. Fantasy, as you can see from my comic book collection here, I like rock music, but yeah, you play football and you're black, and everybody around here will listen to hip hop. So it's like, okay, I'll keep that quiet. So those are a lot of things that I was keeping quiet or keeping lower for the perception of the football player, right? And I think just like we see a lot of the Hollywood actors and everything, and maybe that's why it was easy for me to transition to acting, but you see them start to play a character of themselves because they start getting so much access. And it got bad. I got a couple of DUIs in college. It got so bad at one point, I chose alcohol over my scholarship. That's how bad it got. Coach was like, do you still want to do this in my last year? And I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm good. I didn't understand. It felt like I wasn't getting a fair shake. And part of that may have been true, but I definitely wasn't putting myself in the best position consistently to really get that fair shake, right? I could play a good game here, stumble for 3, my grades suck because I didn't care. And then I come around and be like, but I deserve. And they're like, yeah, the other guy is just as good as you physically, but he's doing all those other things. And it's like, I couldn't see that at the time because my identity was just football. If I'm good in football, then everything else shouldn't matter. You live and learn. And so I chose alcohol over football at one point. I found acting in college, and ended up after college, 2004. I went home for a few months. My big brother gave me $2,500. Drove out to LA got to LA October 17th of 2004. And for almost 20 years, I literally almost was there for 20 years. It was ups and downs going through the craziness, and I hadn't let go, or I hadn't done the work to be better from alcohol. So that was always going to be a trap in there. And my best friend in my whole life, guy I've known since I was 17, he was out in LA. He moved out to LA at the same time. So you kind of had a little bit of an anchor, but I didn't have God. I didn't have like what Jesus wanted for me. I was on my own. And looking back, I feel like a lot of times I was just holding on, just trying to hold on for the next thing. Hold on. And you're just clawing to the next step of the ladder. And then you're holding on with your arms going, oh, at least I didn't make it down there. And you slip a few steps anyway, right? And you're like, man. Whereas now as a believer, it's like, yeah, you can get nervous and frustrated about the world, but I don't ever, when I feel myself trying to hold on for myself, I release, because it's not me. I'm not, Christ did it all already. I need to let it go and focus on taking care of my kids, loving on my wife, doing the work that I can do. But yeah, I moved out to LA. Ups and downs like crazy. I mean, in and out of different spaces, the bad relationships, the kicked out of houses because I was gotten too drunk. At one point, I was told, I was living in this place called Artist Housing, which was just like a slumlord house in Koreatown. And it was so bad, the landlord put a rug in the kitchen. Let's just say, because he didn't want to clean, fix and put the new tile. The tiles are coming up, so he's like, "Great, I'll just put a rug there." And like everyone's just living there, like that's not a fire hydrant, that's not going to burn the place down. And not to mention, like it's just the sanitation on it is terrible. And I came home drunk one night, and there was ramen noodles on the stove, and I was just like, I'm hungry, so I screwed it and I ate it. And the couple who were living, I was upstairs, the couple who were living downstairs was this couple that they were, and I don't say this disparagingly or to mock them. I just say it because it's like the facts on the ground. They were meth heads, right? And they come in and they're super skinny. And so he starts screaming at me for stealing his food, which I did. And I was yelling back at him, "How dare you yell at me?" Because my ego was in a place like, you don't yell at me. Like you're a meth head, you know what I mean? But I'm living in the same house. So it's like, that's how missed that I was about what was really going on with me. The next day I come downstairs, and one of the guys was, kind of allocated to talk to me, who lived in the house. And he was this obese, depressed dude who lived in a basement. And most people, if you know California, we don't have basements. So he told me he would open up the cupboard sometimes. A cat would just be in there from outside. You'd be like, what the? So anyway, he told me, he goes, "Hey, we just talked about it. And we said, if you come home drunk again, we're going to ask the landlord to kick you out." And I was like, damn. And I had gone through so many different attempts. My mom wrote letters to me. Ex-girlfriends pleaded. I even tried at the time AA a few times. And I went to jail over my drinking, and nothing worked except for sitting there, finally getting a view of where I truly was, where an obese guy who is miserable and depressed is telling me I'm the problem in a house full of a couple there were meth heads. Another couple were heroin addicts. That one of the girls actually died on the porch months later. But this is where I was, and they're telling me I'm the problem. I was like, I don't know. It just all made sense. All of it made sense that it had to be a change. Like, it couldn't play this game like this anymore. I'm like, I have two choices. I can go home, and if I want to struggle, I can go struggle in my mom's basement and at least be around people I grew up with. Or I can turn it around, because I didn't come to LA to get kicked out of a space full of drug addicts, plain and simple. And that was the beginning of turning things around. I started going to program 100 miles per hour. I stopped drinking. I started getting into better shape again. Like, I felt like maybe I could do a 40 and maybe play a quarter, because my body wasn't ready for all the hitting again. But I felt good. I did my thing, but I was holding on to the surface. Like, by the time I was in a nice year of my sobriety. I had moved out of that house. I was able to buy a car cash, and I was living in a better space, and had this girl who I was like, this is it, right? But it was all the stuff, right? It's all the stuff. And we know this as believers. It's not about the stuff. But for me, I had checked the boxes. So I was like, okay. And when I expressed myself to this girl, we were hanging out, and I'll never forget, I took her on this romantic date, and I found this like bottle of wine and that she didn't order on our first date, that she told me she was thinking about. So I was going to be romantic and be like, hey, I got the wine. You didn't. and so I poured her one, and then I poured myself one, and she gave me a look, and I'm like, well, remember I told you, I never said I wouldn't ever. I was like, this is special. This is us. I'm thinking in my head, because you're going to be my wife. And I'm building this story over here where she's like, I'm kind of having fun with a guy, and it is what it is. And I took a drink of the wine. It was the first time in 19 months I drank. And within a week, we had broken up, and I'm drinking a handle of whiskey to go back to sleep. And thank God for God, because he only had me out in the world drinking for 5 months, where I know people do it for 5 years and then die 10 years and then destroy everything. And for God loved me enough to only give me 5 months, and great people around me, that this time when they said, hey, we're only saying this because we love you, I could hear it. Where before, when people would be like, hey, this is a problem, we're saying it because we care, I'm like, you don't get it. It was bad luck. Wait till I make it. Then you'll forget. You'll see me as great again. You'll see me as like something to look up to again, because I achieved, and you'll forget about this thing. Not, you're right. It is a problem. Let me clean. Not understanding, cleaning up your issues is actually one of the bravest things that you can do, especially for your friends and family. Right. And so, I heard them and struggled for a month to really get back into it. And on March 15th of 2016, I walked back into program, and it was really amazing, because when I walked in and talked about how God tells you this is where you're supposed to be, as I walked in, the man, and mind you, now I'm in Los Angeles. I am 34 at this point, right? So I walk in, and I look over. As soon as I look over to my left, the man who was one of my most influential teachers back in Iowa for acting, he's sitting right a few seats over there, and he's like, empty seat. He goes, here you go. Like, he didn't even, no judgment on like, oh, I can't believe you're here. Nothing. He's just like, right here. And I'm just like, so, and then I look over, and there's this beautiful woman that I met months earlier when I was still drinking at a friend's party. We were like watching all Chicago sports, and I had a handle of whiskey, and I was like, it was his girlfriend. So it was like, not like I was trying to do anything, but just to admit like this, she was kind of shining, when she was there. And I was like, hey, you want some whiskey? She's like, oh no, I'm sober. I'm in program. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. I'm good now. You sure? And so then I show up, I see that teacher, and I look up, I see her, and she's like, hi, just like friendly, not trying to shame or anything. And I'm just like, oh my God, I was so stupid. And so then I got back.
Isn't it crazy how fast those memories can flash in front of your eyes in a moment when you see someone?
And you feel so like, especially when you're in this shame place, when you first go back in the program, first get the program, a lot of people are shamed because like there's a stigma to like going and getting help, male or female. Like, I don't even think it's they say men don't like that. No, I think everybody can be scared, especially on a true weakness of yours. Like, be one thing if you don't know where you are and you're like, you don't ask for direction, I can figure it out. But it's another thing if it's like, I have trouble drinking alcohol, I will destroy my life. And for men or women, it's like, it's hard to go ask for help. And so when you're in there, you have that shame, but to watch that love and to see it flipped on the other side, when I was able to build some time and, get some commitments and meetings and work with people, do my step work. And that stuff, I believe everyone can use step work just for their life. Like it forces you to really look at stuff and let go of a lot of resentment, because I think our resentments really hold us back. But, so 2016 happened, Trump was running for office. The first debate was in September. And this is how, to me, beautiful the Lord works, because once I was getting sober, I got an opportunity to do a play called The Dutchman. And by September, we had gotten into the National Black Theater Festival. So now it's going to, from March 15th now in September, what is that, like 4 or 5 months? I'm actually doing what I want to do and love to do. And I'm traveling to do it. Like it's all to him. It's these things that keep proving that God is real to me, because he's like, look, these skills I gave you these skills so you could use them. Go use them. And I'm there. I'm at the first night I get to Winston-Salem, I watch that debate, and I was like, okay, let's see what Trump's about. Let's see what's going on. And he goes out there. Remember, that first debate was like the most legendary thing I've seen in politics in my life. He was taking everyone out. Pow, little Marco, boom. Ted, your wife's ugly. Pow, baby Jeb, boom. And I'm just like, whoa, dude. I'm like, this guy's crazy. But
he broke every rule you can have in a freaking debate.
Even Megyn Kelly was taking shots. You're like, damn, he's taking everybody. But one thing he said that had me lock in on him was they started talking about the healthcare, and the Republicans are saying the same thing. We can't have Medicare for all because it'll bury our system. And this is what I've seen in being a part, like really, wanting to be active in the party, is what I've noticed that we do too much on the right. We'll tell you something, no, for something. It's all up and down. No, it sucked. It's bad, demonic. No. But we never offer an alternative clearly. And that's an issue. Because I, on the other side, was looking at them, was like, these guys are the boring, parents that don't want you to do anything. They didn't show you, man, being a parent is awesome. Being in a community is great. Being a father that's there to pour into your kid is a beautiful thing. Being a mother is a beautiful, like, we don't show that as much. This is one of my biggest push as an entertainer, is I want to do projects where we start to create the culture that's not like your Hallmark type of Christian, but just, I would say, reality Christians that entertain. So instead of making more Christian content, more Christians need to make content, is the way I look at it. Right. So I listened to him, and he says, they're saying stuff about, no, we can't. And Trump's like, I got an easy solution. If we want to fix the healthcare stuff, we just put it on the open market. And I was like, they're going to kind of kill this guy. That's the first thing I thought, because it was the first time I heard real solution. And the only reason why healthcare costs so much is because there's no real competition for it. Like anything that costs too much, if you have competition, the price lowers. So when he said that, I was like, I'm riding with him, because he's saying something with real solutions. And dude, Alpha, I swear to you, my hand right here to God, I said they're going to try to kill him, because this is real solutions. When anytime a politician says real solution, I've noticed that's not, especially after Obama year, because I was hook, line, and sinker. Obama had me in the first go around. 2012, not so much, because I saw what was up. Everything was about gays and trans. I'm like, what? And so, when he had me in there, I'm like, they're going to try to take him out. Then moving forward, as I kept getting more sober, getting closer to the Lord, my career is just taking off. Now I'm doing TV shows. I'm doing commercials left and right. I even booked a national commercial, 2 national commercials, 7 days apart, 2 campaigns. My manager at times like, I've never even heard of anything like this. I'm like, and I'm taking classes for the first time seriously outside of college, because college, I was like, I did it in college. I don't need class anymore. Right. I was good enough to not have to keep working on my skills. That's the arrogance that I was rolling with. I'm taking classes. I'm booking TV. I'm booking movie. Had me flew me back to Liberia to shoot a movie about the history of our country, my family's country. I was living the dream that I wanted to, which was to be an actor. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to run around, go to 8 different auditions in a day, be prepared for 2 different shows next week, like all that stuff. But in that time, I saw people I respected, people I was working with, people who claimed to be better than they really were, and the things that they would say about Trump and Trump supporters, especially Trump supporters who, since I got sober, for example, one of these women, this mother and just beautiful person, has texted me every day or every 15th of every month for almost the last 10 years now, just to go, keep going, just to say, keep going. And so then I'm hearing people say Trump supporters are XYZ. I'm like, I'm sitting here going, I'm getting frustrated, because I know the only reason why they're saying it around me too is because of my melanin. Right? They weren't saying it because they knew I was on their team, if you will. Another Trump supporter was my best friend, Brian, who I've known since I was 17, who has had my back so many times as we've been going through growing up in LA. And you're telling me he's a racist? He hates people that look like me. He hates art. Like, you're saying these things and these people are starting to lose their mind. And it's more and more. I'm like, my career is getting bigger, but like my want to express myself is being guarded more, because then I'm starting to like, I could lose this thing that I finally, have been building up. I'll wait till I make enough money. Then I can start to talk. Right. And then I had this, one of my sponsors is a guy who's been in the industry for a while, producer. And he's, he was a showrunner, which is like a guy who creates and runs a show. Two of the biggest shows of our 20s. Let's just say that. Right. And something happened. And, as we were talking about, I found out he was conservative, Republican. He's like, yeah, I'm this conservative. He's like, but I can't say anything or I'll never work again. And that also hit me, because I'm like, I thought rising up in your career was so you get to a level where you don't worry about what people think. And I'm like, I feel like this guy's made it. He says he's done some great things in it, but when it comes down to defending certain aspects, nope, quiet. And that started to that taste in my mouth. I'm like, I don't know if I want to be around this. I can't, even when I make it to a level, I can't say nothing. So then, 2020 happened. I was actually supposed to have my play that I was doing was going to open up the weekend of March 15th, which if a lot of people may or may not know, but March 15th is also in William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar as the Ides of March, where like a witch comes up to Julius Caesar, said, Ides of March, beware. Ides of March is March 15th. So like that's a big theater thing, but also that's the day Shakespeare or Julius Caesar was assassinated. It's my big brother's birthday and it's my sobriety date. And so this play was supposed to happen, but March 15th was when they shut down the country. And
hold right there, Siaka.
Yeah.
Because I want to cover two moments real quick.
Yeah. Anything
And you give me goosebumps, bro. You probably can't see them on the camera, but here's one thing I'll say before I go into this. When you speak, there's an energy that's encased in your words, and people feel it. It's a lot of people speak and it moves you, and there's a lot of that's out there, and some people, but something very unique that you have, and I've only experienced it with a few people. You transmit with an energy, man, and that's a gift. That's
thank you. Oh yeah, that's I've never heard it that way, brother. Like, I appreciate that, because I've never heard it that way, but it's not me, because I know he's put me in positions to learn to speak in this way in multiple different settings in my life, which is really cool. That then to hear you say it comes with even more than just like my intention, that's really cool. That's really cool.
It's like the best way I can probably describe it, and the audience, they're listening, in the chat, you probably see what they're saying about it.
Oh no, I haven't even looked at the chat. What's up, guys?
No, this will record. We're recording now, but
okay, perfect.
This will air tonight. But it's when you're sharing a memory, you're able to pull the emotions you were feeling in that memory and give them to us, and so it's like you really bring us into that thing. It's like, since we can't see the memory, you're pulling us into the emotion, like the moment, and it's fascinating, man. Like, you would be a great storyteller.
Well, that's why I'm an actor. Well, it's funny. So that teacher I was telling you about for that day, in when I walked back in the program, one of the first things he taught me back when I was 20 was paint the picture. So if I had monologues in that play, I was telling Dutchman that I did, it was a 4-page monologue I had to finish the show with. And he's like, you need to, and this is by the time we got here, he's like, all right, remember I told you to paint it. It's time for you to get out all your brushes and colors, because you're going to have to really paint like 4 pages. One thing to have 2-3 paragraphs, but 4 pages. So it's definitely been something that I've had to work on. I think, again, wanting to be a storyteller and stuff has been innate. It's been something that God gave me from birth, but paint the picture. That was something that always stuck with me. So when I am sharing, and thank you for noticing that at least I can paint the picture enough, but to pull you into that place to feel it, it's like, That's one of the ultimate compliments that a storyteller and actor can hear someone say. So thank you, sir. I really appreciate that.
Well, like I said, I'm sure a lot of people are going to agree with me, but here's what I interrupted you for is a lot of people that are, listening, to everybody, but for men especially, there's our life's a book, right? Cover to cover, you're born, you die, is the story going to be interesting? That's all up to us.
Yeah. Anybody want to read it?
Yeah, anybody want to read it? And usually in these books, there's a solid story that's in there. Hey, go back to chapter 22, man.
Yeah.
And listening to you already, and we're still got a lot of great stories to come. There's these like powerful stories where that alone could be an entire podcast, like your sports career, college.
Yeah.
The applications, you said Notre Dame, Fighting Irish. I love the Fighting Irish, man.
Oh,
right?
I can tell you a terrible story. I hated Notre Dame for a while because I'm like, I went there. We drove there like an hour and a half, 2 hours. My mom and a coach, and we get there and they take us around. The guy acted like he didn't really want me to be there, and then he goes, "All right, we get to their offices." He goes, "I'll be right back." He walks into a room. He comes back out. He goes, "I just watched your highlight tape. We'd love to give you a scholarship." I'm like, "You should have done that 3 hours ago, man. You should have done that days ago." And I was like, "I'm done with you." Anyway, that was my pride at that point.
He should have took his. Well, here's the thing, though. He should have took his job seriously.
See, I could have been, and I liked as a kid. I loved I would have done it. I would have done it. I was, and it was close enough. But ever since then, I've been like, F Notre Dame. No,
but at the same time, that moment had to happen the way it happened for your story,
right?
And the great thing about you with all these stories is you can look back at all these different, data points in your life, be like, man, just a little deviation and everything changes.
Everything. I mean, dude, I was freshman year of high school. I said, I'm getting a scholarship to play at the University of Michigan. That was it. Going into my junior year, when it's like juniors finally get to be varsity, my coach was like, look, we only had one person get a scholarship from Michigan back in '86. And I'm like, what does that have to do with me? Like, I'm like, which is always weird how people do that. And one thing I never understood was some of the black stuff where it's like, just because he did it doesn't mean you can. I'm like, just because he did it kind of means I can. Like, why are we, or it doesn't matter what he did. It's me, And so I got a scholarship offer from Michigan. It was Lloyd Carr at the time. And it was only because Coach Fry at Iowa came and did something really special by visiting my mom in the hospital that I changed my mind last minute. And if I didn't change my mind, I would have been Tom Brady's teammate. So there you go. I would have been teammates with the GOAT.
But that's what I mean. It sees, and here's the thing: you go to Lloyd's life story. Something in his story made him compelled to go to share that moment with your mom.
Right.
And that's why people have to understand. We always say, they're my choices; they affect my life. Is it only your life? What's that butterfly effect do to the rest of the world? And I think if we took every decision we make more seriously, down to just the very nuanced stuff of our daily life, that we could change the entire world. But here's what I wanted to say real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
The first time you walk into one of those the college stadium, it's your first Saturday football game. Like you're here. You're that young kid, because like I said, we could do an entire podcast on just what it takes just to get there. Yeah. But you walk onto that field and you're here. What's that moment feel like?
It's like I liken it to getting on stage. And that's one of the reasons why I love stage. I think I've always been a performer. I mean, the first play I ever did was in 8th grade. It was a musical, Hans Christian Andersen. It was back when they're doing before race swapping was cool. No, I played Hans, but when I walked out, and I have to calm myself because I can get super hyped, and I found that I could actually hyperventilate myself. So I'd walk out and we jog out and everything's going wild. And you're kind of like, because it's a mixed bag, because as a freshman and a freshman redshirt, they let you suit up for one game, right? And I suit up for the Michigan game at the time. And you come out and the crowd's going nuts, and you see the student section, but then you also kind of see people because you go to school. So it's a weird thing where it's like you kind of know some people, then you look around, you don't know and it's this mass amount of people that are there, and it just takes you over, and it becomes about the mission. So the crowd is cool, but it really kind of becomes about the mission. And when I started playing consistently, it was cool to get you from the bookends, as you talked about earlier. In the beginning of the game, maybe halftime, and at the end was when the crowd really matters. But then once you're in the middle of the game and you're moving, it's just those are just people that happen to be there. But it's that beginning. But the way you're trained, and you know this from just training enough, when you train enough, once it's time to turn it on, all the outside becomes a thirdary, really, right? Because you need the secondary for other stuff. But that initial is beautiful to come out there and you're just like jogging out. And I liken it to that moment in a Gladiator when he walks out and he looks around and everyone's cheering like that. It's kind of like that, man. It's kind of like that where there's a moment where you go, this is cool. The coolest moment I have to say was playing at two moments. One was playing at the Horseshoe in Ohio State and standing right next to a buddy of mine. And it was so loud, and it's a wind tunnel. They designed it so it's a wind tunnel. So what the crowd cheers, it's super loud. You can't, I'm standing next to my boy and I'm like, yo, he's like, we're standing next to each other. And the second thing was we beat Penn State in double overtime after they had renovated their stadium to house now 110,000. And we beat them in double overtime. And it was after first time our coach took us to watch a movie the night before. And the movie was Remember the Titans. And then we came out. Yeah, exactly, bro. And then we beat them in double overtime in their newly renovated stadium. Like that was just like, we're running around on the field, jumping on each other. Those were two of the coolest moments I would say I've ever had. Playing, and I scored touchdown back in my hometown against Evanston. So that was cool too. But those first two were like, that was big time. And it doesn't, I probably miss the guys and being in the locker room more than I missed the actual game. I was never really a big fan of practice, as Iverson was saying. We talk about practice, man. But I miss the guys, I miss the time that we're hanging out, the crap you're talking, the sit around, play Madden against each other for hours. That's what I loved about sports the most, is just being around the guys, and that's what I miss the most.
100%. And then, I mean, you likened it to, when you get to actually go on stage. And so the first time you got on, big TV show and you're there and, whatever the way they do it, I see movies, lights, camera, action.
Yeah.
First time you get that moment, you made it. Like you obtained what millions try and never even get remotely close to, but you're there, you're present in that moment. I assume that the feeling was pretty similar to what you just described here.
Yeah, but it's like, and so the difference is, like, in football, I could run out there and be like, yeah. You can't do that when you're walking on set of SWAT. You get on there and it's like, it's the one added though, when you get to work, right? Like you celebrate, that feeling you really get is after you find out you got the job, right? You're like, yeah, you're celebrating. When you get to work, it's that old statement of act like you've been there before. Like you scored a touchdown, just, all right, give the ball to the ref. Like I did it. I don't need to sit there and stop the world. But inside, bro, especially because it was 13 years before I really started to work consistently enough, and especially start to work on things and bigger parts. It wasn't just like these pretzels are making me thirsty and then walk out. It was like a full character arc. And so 13 years of that. And then when you get there and you can breathe and everyone around you, because people say whatever they want about Hollywood and the people that, the way voting patterns, when you're on set and you're working, those are the coolest people on the planet, because everyone is of the same mission. Everyone wants to get this episode done and done right. So everyone's like, hey, you need anything? You're good. Wardrobe over here. Great. We need it. We can tailor it in. It's quick. No problem. Ha ha ha. Laughing. I'll never forget going into makeup the first day, and Shamar Moore is a star of SWAT. Right. And the way it had it, you walk up the steps, you can go to your left and the seats there. And then there's a 3-step to go to kind of 2 other extra chairs. And he's actually done coming out as I'm walking in. And I've worked on things where, Super Bowl commercials with Stevie Wonder and Zoe Zidane, and the director's like, no one talks to him. I've worked on it where they've established hey, if you aren't getting paid this level, you need to just be over there and sit and wait, And I'm there, and the first thing Shamar comes up, he's like, yo, what's up, brother? How you doing? Clean. I'm like, yo, what's up, homie? You know, just living life, trying to get out here. You know, everything's super chill, super clean. And getting these jobs, it started to show me something. It's like they want to be around people who feel comfortable being at this space. Because you got to think about this. Most of the time, if they're walking down the street, they're at the airport, how do people approach them? Hey, what's going on? Now imagine that I was like that at work with them. Shamar, I mean, oh my gosh, Shamar. Or it's like, yo, what's up, man? We're going to come in. We're going to do this. Ha ha, laughing, joking, all this stuff. And we did a scene where my character has a bomb strapped to him and he may die and they're about to clip it. And, you know, I go there. I feel pretty good to be able to pull out the tears, and I wanted to pull out the Denzel one tear. Right. And so I've worked on this, which is kind of a crazy thing to say, but I've worked on this, and I'm there and I'm doing it, and I got the tear coming, right? And they're doing the scene, and the Shamar is there, and the other actor here, and he's here, the other actor's here, and the camera's here, so it's intimate. This is not like we're like smelling each other's like coffee breath, right? And I get the tear to fall right when the camera comes around. Like this is part of like the little skill sets that you don't really. It's hard to explain to the populace, but it's stuff that you learn along the way. You start to tinker with you are the craft, as your body's the craft, so you tinker with it. It came and it dropped, and we did a scene, we cut, and he goes, Shamar's like, damn, you acting today, huh? I was like, hey man, that's what they hired me for. He's like, okay. And it was just like the respect from that moment on, bro. Like I was moving in my head because this guy has been working consistently for 20 some years. I'm starting to work now. This is like maybe year 2.5, 3 of consistent work. And yet he's looking at me as a peer at the same level because I brought it, because those years of taking classes, you come in prepared, you can play, you know, and then you'll get the respect. The same things that like I wasn't doing in college. I wasn't taking care of my grades the way I should have. I wasn't taking care of my social time. So when I did play well in practice, I still had all this weight, you know? So when I did fall off of my play, they'd be like, the weight will let it fall. Whereas when I was over here now, that's to see how like I learned how full circle God prepares you so you can take it, you know, be in a certain different place moving forward. I'm standing there with this dude, a guy that I've watched when I was a kid, telling me, nodding his head like, let's go. I see it. I see you do it. And I got to share this one story because it blew my mind. And to see like when you're up there and you just take yourself seriously and you do the work, the respect you can get. When I did that play Dutchman, we did one of our first opening nights was in Santa Monica, and we had a Q&A afterwards. And the moderator of the Q&A was Carl Weathers, right? Yeah. And when I first took the class with that teacher, because the teacher that was from the rooms, he was my director in that play. When I first took his class, the class was called Black Action Theater. So I actually thought that class was going to be a blow off, watch a bunch of movies class. I thought we were going to watch like Blade 1 and 2. We're going to watch Action Jackson. We're going to do all this stuff. This is literally what I thought. So fast forward now, and I'm sitting there 2 seats down from Action Jackson himself, with the teacher of a class. I thought we were just gonna watch this. It was like, it was crazy. And the best thing he said to me, and you know, he's doing a cue. He's like, Siaka, I want to ask you. So actor to actor, I didn't hear the rest of what he said because he just said, I'm an actor just like him. So he's like, actor to actor, how do you? And I'm in my head going, oh my God, Carl, Carl say that I'm an actor just like him. Carl, why does I love you? You know, Dutch, you son of a bitch. So you know, I'm sitting there and I feel this moment was so amazing to sit there and see that all the dreams that I ever had were being met and beyond. And the first thing I did was submit to the Lord that I had a weakness that I could not do for myself, which is alcohol. And the more I learned about God and got closer to God, the more I saw his beauty. To me now, that has culminated in a marriage, 2 kids, 2 beautiful kids I never thought I would have. You know, living in a house and a property that is safe, beautiful, and in a town that's safe, beautiful, in a state that, you know, respects parents and wants to uplift the family as opposed to, you know, try to cut in and all that and everything in between is Christ. And God loves us. And it's just, we got to he loves our search for him. You know, you don't have to be perfect. It's not a gym where you need to get in shape to go to gym, which is, I think, is the dumbest thing anyone ever says. It's like, go get in shape with Christ. That's what you do. Go read. I started reading yesterday. You know, get in there, ask him for help. Like, that's what he wants from us. And the more I lean on him, the more I see his love and glory for us, that he wants us to have peace beyond understanding. He wants us to live in joy. These aren't accidental words. These aren't a great sales tactics for an multi-level marketing. This is just real, and I've lived it and I've seen it, and it
absolutely is real. And that's why I wanted to bring up those two moments. Those are like very spotlight worthy books.
Yeah.
But in those stories, there was, two others that I wanted to bring up real quick is, that moment you talked about when you're like the freaking depressed dude from the basement and the meth heads are saying, I'm the problem. Right. And then you fast forward later on where, after, 5 years and you're going back, or, 5 months, you go back into the drinking, the alcoholism, and you see the acting coach and the girlfriend that's there. And you have that moment where you say, it almost feels like a shame. It's like, that's such a big spectrum of emotion,
man.
But God, it is a testament to how much he loves you, because he says, look, I'm going to show you what you can do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you what you can destroy.
Right.
I'm going to make you feel it. And, we're getting close on time. And I want to bring into a very important thing is then all of a sudden the FBI shows up in your life. And I'll share this real quick, because I want the audience to hear this story from you. I was raised, you do right, you do a good job, you have a family, you ain't got to worry about the police.
No, that's it. Yeah.
And I became a police. Like that's the way I was, brought up. And everybody knows my story. But I remember sitting in solitary confinement thinking, like, I do the speed limit.
Yeah.
Speed limit, like people, my kids laugh at me like, Dad, why you drive so slow? You say you get in pursuits, but you drive so slow. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking down at me, and I got this suit that says Riverside County inmate. And I'm like, what the freak happened? And the only thing I could do that night was get on my knees. There's two things.
Let's go.
We always talk about prayer. Everybody says we pray. And the vast majority of people, we pray every day, but then there's prayer.
Yes.
Like legit prayer. And I can say, there's probably about a handful of times where I know it was a prayer, but two that I want to highlight that were just so impactful on my life was the first time I legitimately prayed for someone I hated.
Let's go. Come on now.
And I remember, I had just dropped off my kids at high school. This is my older daughters, the adult ones. And I'm driving home and I do this prayer because that's how much hate was in my heart. Like, this person could have gotten in an accident and died, and I would have
been cheering. Yeah, you'd have been like, let's go. Yeah.
And I found myself praying for this man. And I remember what I felt like immediately afterwards, because it was real. It was sincere. It wasn't like, I'm praying for my enemy because I have to. No, it was legit. Right. And then I remember the next one was that night in that cell.
Oof, yeah.
And it was because I didn't pray to get out. And I didn't pray.
Yeah.
What I said was, I don't know what your plan is, but just give me peace to live with whatever it is. It was the first time in my life that I realized I'm not in control here.
Man.
And just give me peace. If you want me to be a cop, there ain't no court that's going to stop it. I'll be one. I don't know what you want. So I'm telling you, I'm good with it. Just give me peace to deal with it. And so when I hear your story, I'm like, damn, man, bring us to J6.
Yeah. Oh, man. Because of time, too, and I think we definitely have to come back because there's so much more. But I wanted to share, because what you just said there, when a lot of people know I ended up, they raided, but then later on they arrested me. When I was arrested and spent a night in jail, prayer was huge. One of the first things I did in the cell, and I was at was it San Marino? Yeah, it was San Marino, because LA County was a little further away from Burbank Airport, and I think they were closed. I forget how to say it, so we went over there. There was no one there except for me and the officers. So it was me, officers, and then one drunk guy who was in a cell in another place. So I go in my cell when I finally get booked, checked and everything. I go in my cell, I start doing like, push-ups and sit-ups and wear your body down because you're amped up. My 7-month pregnant wife is on her own. I don't know how she's being taken care of. So it's like all I can do is be here. And then I drop to my knees and I just start saying the Lord's Prayer over and over. So much that the jailer came and closed the door because I was too loud. And then she came in later and was like, "Do you want anything to read?" And I was like, "A Bible if you got it." So she brings back a Bible. I fell asleep that night holding a Bible in my arms, catching up to my reading that I needed to do for my discipleship class at the time. And the next day, they take me to the U.S. Marshals to go through that whole process. And I'm praying. As soon as I get into the new cell, I pray, boom, fall to my knees. I pray real quick. And I literally pray for the same thing that you just prayed for. Not to get out, but to have him just, whatever it is you want, like, I got you, just peace. Really, for the most part, peace and thank you, right? I did ask for protection for my wife, like to take care of her. I know if I can't do it, now like, let me out to go take care of her. It's like, look, I don't know what's going to happen, especially when you were hearing they'd get somebody on a Thursday or Friday. They ain't getting out till Monday or Tuesday. So I'm like, I'm already kind of mentally preparing. This is going to be part of the game. My lawyer comes, or I go into that, to speak to the clerk of the judge before you're, in that little small room before you talk to your lawyer. My lawyer, after I talked to my lawyer, comes busting in, who I didn't think was going to make the 11 o'clock call. He was a red eye from Florida. He comes running in. He's carrying literally his carry-on still. He's like, "Hey, we're here. You're going to be all good." He leaves. I fall on my knees at that moment. And I'm sure they did the same thing to you, but we're cuffed waist to ankle like we're Hannibal Lecter, right? For standing for me 71 seconds looking in and smiling. And all of a sudden I'm like this. I just don't have the mask on, right? And I'm on my knees. I fall to my knees and I put my hands up as much as I can. And I sing that Brandon Lake song, Gratitude, because that's all I can do. Then as I'm walking, they finally start to take us over to the van, to take us over to the courthouse. I'm the only one in like the clothes that I had on from when they arrested me, which included a Barbarous shirt that on the back had Jesus Saves on the cross that had like chains and thorns around it. The guy standing behind me walking is this like 6'2" white dude that looked like he could be the neo-Nazi like Muscle. If this is like who you pick in the gang, like that's the guy that go break that other dude's neck, right? And he has an underbite and he's tatted up, everything. And I remember just saying to myself, I ain't trying to prove nothing to nobody, just be chill, right? And as I'm walking, I hear, "Nice shirt, man." And I go, "Oh yeah?" I'm like, "Well, Jesus saved my life." I just start talking God. He starts talking God. He's like, "Yeah, I'm reading the Bible now." Mind you, we're all walking to the elevator to get on there. There's probably 5 of us inmates and then 2 2 marshals. And we're in there and we start talking. We get in the van. We're still talking. "Oh, you got to read this. You got to read that book." There's one other cat that looked like Cheech from Cheech and Chong, long beard. He starts chiming in. He's talking. We start going back and forth. We're laughing. We're talking about Lord of the Rings and C.S. Lewis and how they knew each other. And he brought, talking about C.S. to Christ and all this stuff. We get to because I don't know if a lot of people may not know. I'll just describe it for them. When you see the inmate coming from the back, there's a holding cell behind the court there. So when you see them come from back, they're not just sitting around anywhere. They're sitting behind bars behind there. So they bring us in. I happen to be the last one to come in of the 5. As I walk in, and I'm leading with this because of what you said. And this, I think, is ultimately, we've heard, to a certain extent, we heard a lot about J6 stories and the FBI and they trample your rights. I get that. But what you brought up had me just think of just how powerful God is. As I'm walking in, I'm the last one to come in. I knew my wife was going to be there and my lawyer. I didn't know anyone else, who else was going to be there. As I walk in, I look to my right, and both pews of this hearing completely filled of people coming to support me, from the LAGOP, from the reporters that I knew, from my church. The pastor who married us is there. We had, and my church from downtown LA is at least an hour and a half on a Friday night, at least, to get down there. So they're there. I look over. I'm like, I don't even see my wife because it was so many people. I'm like, oh, I was so shocked. And my wife was telling me from her perspective, as you were the last one to come in, you're coming in, and what did they see? Changing around a man that had a shirt that says God, Jesus Saves on it. So they're getting a whole different thing. So again, you don't know who you're inspiring just by standing up. For them, they're like, whoa, we got his back because look what we're seeing. But when we're in that cell waiting, before we go, we've been talking that big, white supremacist, not neo-Nazi looking guy. We're standing around just chilling. He kind of gives me that little nudge. He's like, hey, man. I'm like, what's up? He's like, can you pray for us? I was like, all right. You want me to pray for you guys? And he said, and I was like, okay. So I said, and I'll say the part that I remember because what you said brought me up. It goes, Father God, like, we don't know if we're going to be released today or not, but we do know that as long as we trust in you, Jesus, everything will be taken care of. That was it. Not let us out, open the gates. No, it's just, we trust you. We love you. We know in you, it's all done. It's all good. And so when you just said that, I was like, I have to say that part first because to me, it's a culmination of a lot of all the other things, to be literally behind bars with people who killed, with people who have robbed, raped. That's who I was sitting with. And each guy went out, came back, and the judge was like, nope. The tall white guy, he was actually trying to get I think he was on 15 years and he was trying to get out early. But he's like, yeah, I stabbed a guy last August, so I don't know if it's going to happen. And I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I'm just like, oh, Jesus, help me. No, but I'm like, it is what it is. We're here. All the guys come back. They're like, nah, she's a bee. She's unreasonable. She's terrible. So I'm the last one to go, which is also the setup by the government. So you get stuck in there because if anything goes wrong, sorry, we'll see you on Monday. I'm the last one to go. And as I'm leaving, everybody there is like, we hope you get out. Everyone there. All the guys are like, we hope you get out. And no one was saying that beforehand. Everyone was just like, hey, man, good luck. Everyone was like, we hope you get out. We hope you get out. I go out. I push, I'm shuffling over. I push that little door open. As soon as I get out there, bro, oh, man, it still gives me chills just to feel it. Like everybody there for me stood up. Ooh, what's up? At attention. My pastor who married us started buttoning up that vest. Like it's time to go to work. And I'm just like, and I'm trying to keep it together, right? I'm shuffling there. My wife's 7 months pregnant. She's in an all black little dress holding the Bible. She with her cross necklace comes around the corner, stone face, like it's time to go to work. And the whole time I'm just like, I hope the judge is kind. But everyone behind me we're here. Like I'd never felt, the closest thing I felt was like, you talked about what does it feel like to run out of that tunnel the first time you're playing football and everyone's on the same page. Yo, let's go get it, homie. Let's go. That's what it felt like. I felt like that, but I would say even more because of the stakes and knowing that the Lord is behind them. And so when I get to the I guess the pew or my lawyer, I see, because it had plexiglass, I could see the people behind me still standing for like an extra minute longer. And they didn't stand for anybody else. So the judge is like, what's going on? It felt like everyone had their hand on my back being like, I got you. Anyway, we go through the whole process and they're like, okay, yeah, release on a signature warrant, right? So if you don't come back for this, then, you have to get charged this way. I leave. This part is completely all God because I don't know this is going on. I think I'm done. When I leave, I find out I was supposed to sign something to say, okay, this is your okayness, and the DA was supposed to sign. None of that happened, but I was the last case. DA's gone. I'm down in the van waiting for them to leave to go back and process me out. Come to find out what happened was they said this and like, well, he's going to have to wait till Tuesday because Monday was a holiday. One of the ladies who does security at our church, she actually named her car, sports car, after me. She goes, I'll get the DA. Takes off, boom, running through the courthouse trying to find this guy. Finds him in the parking lot on his phone, getting in his car. She's like, we need you now. Brings him back in. As she's coming back, the clerk's like, look, I got to go. I got to catch my train to get people like, we'll drive you home. Like that was when they were standing up and be prepared. They were prepared for anything, including that. And they reacted, bro. They didn't, oh, well, okay. Well, Charlotte, call us on Monday. We'll see if we can come back. No, they were like, no, we're getting him out tonight. This was the mission of that team, and they all came in to execute. Bring him back. Clerk was like, your lawyer can sign. Mind you, I'm still in the van down there going, what's going on? I just want to get out of here, right? Come back, get it done. They take me and the guy goes, hey, sorry, we just had some... What an ass. He goes, we just had a little paperwork issue. So I was like, okay. Takes it back. One of the guys who didn't say a word the entire time before we separated, he goes, hey, good luck with your kid, man. I was like, wow, thanks. Like everything we were saying, he was hearing, even though he wasn't responding. He was kind of playing tough. He was like, hey man, congrats. Good luck with your kid. I was like, thanks, bro. Get back to the U.S. Marshal's office, get checked out, if you will. And I get down to the lobby, and it's my wife and my lawyer. We give each other, everyone gives a big hug. We walk out to the front, and everyone from who were there come on different sides. Car pulls up here, boom, people walk this way, people walk this way. And if everyone goes to my site, siakamassaquoi.us, you'll see the picture of like everyone coming around to give me the big hug, and I'm wearing that shirt. On the back of it says Jesus saves, while being hugged by the people that came to support me. Man, it was, yeah, J6 sucked, but all those moments, it just shows you how much he loves you. And it shows you that trust him. You will have peace beyond understanding. Trust him. He will, the prison doors will swing wide open. You don't know how, right? We read about it. You don't know how all of a sudden I lived it, because all I did was glorify him. I wasn't the one like wheeling and dealing with the judges. I wasn't the one trying to like, make it cool with the FBI agents or the marshals, or all I did. All right. All I did is this, and the doors swung open, and I got back in the arms of my wife, who from that moment, because we had a friend on the plane with us, and then we had a couple picking us up, she never spent a moment alone that 24 hours that I was in jail. So basically, this 7-month pregnant woman, imagine if she's by herself. We've heard people having stillborns after the FBI raided houses. We've known this. So they wanted to break people, but God had us, he had us covered, and he just, again, he set up something that I will never forget and always share with anyone, but definitely my children, because they need to know how strong they are, but how much God loves them, and never to cower to the world, because they say the United States versus. You're like, okay, that sucks and it can be scary, but no, there's something bigger. That's who you need to be afraid
100%.
of. And that man, the ultimate J6 situation to me is like, that's what it all was. Yeah, I went through 3 years of, before even charge, I was on the extra security list, so I couldn't fly without being basically cavity searched every time, followed by air marshals. Mind you, never charged with anything at this point. Going all the way back to when they did raid my house on June 10th of 2021. Yeah, 15 plus agents, guns drawn. When I woke up and opened my door, 2 agents just turned their guns on me like I was, like I was one of the Taliban or something. They're doing a mission. They cuffed my best friend up in front of his sons, who were 3 and 6 at the time. They arrested this other, this neighbor, or this other set of roommates, or a couple, and they took my electronics. They took my phone. They took, just basically ways that I could communicate to the world. But yet they wanted to go around, and this is how beautiful God works. And sometimes his plan is definitely long written, because when I got a DUI in college in 2000, it was plastered over everything. The evening news even talked about it in Iowa City. It was plastered over the Iowa Gazette, to then going back to Evanston. The Evanston paper started talking about it. So when I had my first major public issue happen, news, everyone talked about it. And I'm just like, I made a mistake, it's just like this feeling of like, whoa, and everything. He's a criminal. That's what they started saying. So after that raid, I did a video a day later, and I go, they're going to come out and the newspaper is going to say, actor raided, or Siaka Massaquoi raided. And it's all just to really, what they're trying to do is just trying to hurt you, kind of like enemy of the state. No one that hurts you in a public setting. And lo and behold, 2 hours after I did that video, LA Times, like, Netflix actor raided. The Daily Mail in Europe was like, in England was like, Netflix actor raided. So everywhere, it was out there in the world. But the difference was, because of what happened to me when I was 20 and knew life wasn't over, because people write things about you. When this happened, I was like, My mom even commented, she's like, yeah, it was kind of like college, but it was whatever. I'm like, I know. God actually prepared me in this time when I thought my life is over here. No one's going to respect me. I'm never going to get the girl. I'm never going to have a like that. These are the thoughts going through my head back in when I was 20, when this happened. To then have literally a lot more serious guns in your face and to go, it is what it is. I know what they're going to do. And really be that peace beyond understanding. So like God, yes, the book is great. The Bible is wonderful. Going to church is wonderful. But when you also talk about your faith and people go trying to prove it one way or the other, one thing they'll never be able to break is your personal experience with God. All those other things to me help to solidify it. But like what is the foundation is, man, I have lived it. My son is the example. My boy, Xavier, is the example of how God works, that I shouldn't have one. My wife is the example. My daughter now is the example, and I'm seeing it. So it's until they can disprove my lived examples, yeah, okay. No, Matthew didn't write Matthew. Okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Like all these different arguments in it, but I'm like, you know by your fruits. So the fruits of God's fruits, I've watched it work in my life in such a way where that's just is what it is, man. It's the truth, the way of the life. And, everyone else can struggle out there in the world if they want, but there's an answer. There's an answer. And yes, it's an easy answer. It's just, it's hard to execute. Sometimes, it's hard to believe, but it's so easy. He loves you, take care of you, right? So, but yeah, and that's
such a simple answer that just so hard to execute.
So hard. That's so So I mean, just that's why you gotta be consistent in reminding of them. Pray to Him, read His Word, share it with your family. And this message, especially for men, be the priest in your home. I think we see a lot of these issues because us men of faith have been advocating their positions out in the world and at home. And we need to get back to that. And I see a lot of young men doing that, which is hopeful. And that's what I want to be. I want to be, if God wants me to be this, I want to be a beacon to these young men, especially who goes, wow, okay, I can be an artist, but I also can care about my civic duty. I can know the history. I can maybe run for office. I can have a family. God made us multifaceted. He made us that way. There's some people who will achieve more multifaceted levels, but it's rare you see anyone who is really just good at one thing and that's it. And they can't touch anything else. I play the guitar. I'm not great at guitar, but I play in front of my son so he could be better at it and know, hey, I can do it. I'm writing my book not because I'm Stephen King or any of these authors, but because I want him to see you can write, you can put your thoughts out there and share with the world like that. And doing these things to show the future that you can too, because I'm trying it. Doesn't mean everyone's gonna be Michael Jordan about what they do, but that's not the point. The point is to do it. The point is you feel it in your heart, express yourself, especially young men, express it. Build, and trust God throughout that process, man. Trust
100%. The trust in God. I always finish the shows with a quick rapid fire. I'm bumping too much into it, but to the point you just made is I just want to remind the audience, be the main character in your story.
Yeah, because you are, whether you like it or not. You just can make the story a fun one that you want to share with your family.
100%. And the last thing I want to share, I've shared on different shows. My audience has heard this, but I want to share it with you. When I was very young, my father asked me, very, very religious man, same as my mother. We weren't just Catholic; we were Roman Catholics. Like it was. Yeah, it was.
Actually, I just learned which way to go, and the Catholics was like, it didn't matter. I was like, oh, I thought it was matter. Maybe I was with the Catholics who were just Catholics; they weren't Roman Catholics.
Yeah, just Catholics. But he had told me one time, and this was probably late middle school, early high school. He goes, well, what's your relationship like with Abraham Lincoln? And I'm looking at him like, you're weird. What do you mean with Abe Lincoln? I'm like, I just studied about him in school. Yeah. He goes, what about George Washington? So he asked us this a few times, and I'm just like, he's being like you're being weird, Pops. Like you're a weird old man, but you're being weird here. He goes, you study about these guys, you watch movies about these guys, you do reports on these guys, you can answer all the questions asked you about these guys, but you say there's no relationship with them. I'm like, no, we just studied them. He goes, so why do you think you got a relationship with God? Because you read the Bible. And I was just like, this jaw just kind of went.
Whoa.
He goes, do you think because you can answer all the questions about Jesus and you can tell his story and other, you think that means you got a relationship with him? And it just stuck with me for forever. And it was just like, what's actually encompassed in a relationship? You talk, the good things,
hang out,
the bad things, you hang out, you share moments,
you check in.
And it's like you read my mind, because this is where I wanted to say before we get into the rapid fire. The one thing I learned is, when God finishes a chapter in my life, he always wants to make the end of a chapter like climactic. I'm like, can't you just say that for the end of the book?
No, nope.
So it's like, so what I've learned is, if I want to avoid that, I need to check in. Even now things start going, because we're, the human soul, we're very powerful spiritual beings that we can acclimate to the worst of situations.
Yeah.
And so we got to learn, check in with God. Hey, am I still doing this the way you want? I want to make sure my motives and egos aren't getting in the way. Like, correct me if I need to be corrected. I'm paying attention. Checking in is so important.
So huge.
So with this rapid fire, don't think too much into it. Just fire off the cuff. If we get stuck, let's press on to the next one. Okay. So first one, number one, coffee or tea?
Tea.
All right.
Non-caffeinated too, because like caffeine makes me jitter like a crackhead. I can't do that.
I'm the same way. My pre-workouts and stuff, I got to go get the very low caffeine one. I don't like that
jitter. Oh,
yeah. I know people love that. I'm like, no.
I need to be in control of my body.
Favorite UFC fighter?
Of all time? Ooh, man. Man, that's a good one. First off, I got to say off the bat, Valentina Shevchenko, because my wife and I met September 25th of 21, and she came over for a Valentina fight, because Valentina dances at the end of her fights when she beats somebody, and Charlotte is a classically trained dancer, and she came to my house and walked up my driveway the moment Valentina was walking in the ring for that day. That's a whole nother story we can write about. But Valentina, right now, I'd have to say consistently Valentina because of that. Before that, Joanna Jędrzejczyk I was a huge fan of hers. But yeah, Valentina, the bullet, or the real life Black Widow, however you want to say it.
100%. I like that story too. The Hollywood role you're most proud of?
Hollywood role I'm most proud of I would probably say I played this character Flomo, which is a funny name, I think, but Flomo, which was an indigenous person in the movie that we did back in Liberia, where I got to, in a sense, I could have been playing an ancestor of mine. It's a fictional story, but just that idea. And I got to not only go back to Liberia for the first time as an adult, but my big scene is in the church that my grandfather was the main pastor of. And I sat there, and I didn't even know this. My mom was like, oh, that's the church your grandfather was in. I was like, oh, yeah, that's cool. When I'm sitting in the pew just hanging out, I look up at the wall, and on the plaque is his name on that plaque. And I didn't know my grandfather because he died when my mom was 12. So like to be sitting in the church that my grandfather was a preacher in for the main like big emotional moment of my character, that was probably the most proud I've been of any part that I've played as an actor.
Man, some things are just divine.
Bro, that's a whole nother episode we could talk about. It's God has blessed me definitely with stories.
God has a way of making certain things that will only be understood by you to let you know you're on the right road.
Right. Amen.
That little GPS, you're on the right direction.
You're like, you sure? Yeah, keep going down the hill.
if you could make one law that goes in effect tomorrow, what would that law be?
One law that goes into effect tomorrow would say, term limits. Because I think term limits can quell a lot of the issues we're facing, because we have people who hold on to power for too long. And yeah, I could say this law and that law, but 2 years, 3, 4 years, you're done. That's it. You're done. You can't get back in anymore. I think term limits would do so much to help with the corruption and that deep state feel that we've been, living in.
Yeah, it's the safest way to go forward. That's for sure. Book of the Bible that speaks the most to you?
Romans 1. Specifically Romans 1. That was the first book. That was first chapter and book that I read completely in my journey towards Christ. And my wife and I read that together, and we read the whole New Testament together, which I suggest that any couple should do. You want to know how you are, read the New Testament together. You go for 1 to 10, she goes 11 to 20, and so on and so forth throughout the whole thing. It took us a year and a half. And Romans 1, especially starting in Romans 1:20, professing to be wise, they became fools. It shows you where we are right now in our culture. I never forget reading it, and I turned to her and it goes, do people know this exists? Like, this is talking about today. And this was written before America was an idea. Like it was Romans 1, especially Romans, but especially Romans 1 is like that because it opened the door and it showed me it was one of the biggest. It's just true. Whether I believe who wrote it and when it was written and this guy and that guy and one guy called it that. I'm like, all right, man, some things are just true. And this thing was just true. So check out Romans 1, everybody.
I like that. Last few that we got right here.
Yeah.
Aside from our creator, who inspires you the most today?
Wow. Aside from our creator, who inspires me the most? Wow. Honestly, it's not one individual. Fathers that stick around and fight the good fight. Because I look online and I see a lot of fathers. There's a guy, Adam Verna, who's fighting for his son. But a lot of these fathers in a time where I didn't grow up with a dad, but in a time where like men have been pushed to the wayside as not valuable enough. When I see good fathers stand up, like that inspires me because I want to be that example. I want to be that for my kids. You know, I want them to go, you're the best dad ever. I really do. And I look at other men who are in it and I'm like, okay, yeah, I watch them. So they inspire me. Men who are fathers inspire me.
Right on. Last two. Pit bulls, misunderstood, or are they as bad as everybody thinks?
No, they're misunderstood, man. I got a pit bull. Her name's Ginger. I've had the pit bull I had before was named Kegger. Hold on. Now you got to make me do this. They're misunderstood, man. They're misunderstood. They're sweet babies. They love you, but you know, they're like a heavy powered rifle. If you don't feel comfortable handling it, don't play around. Like you have to be the dog is as good as the owner, works with them. So if you're not there and being there for them, it's really on you, not on the dog. I trained dogs for 2 years, and the pits that I was around were the sweetest, best dogs that you could ever have. They were actually the first nanny dogs in America and the first White House dog. So yeah. Pit bulls, let's go.
I knew you had some. That's why I want to ask. Last question, and then I'll let you give closing thoughts and call it a night here. Finish this sentence. Mm-hmm. People who really know me know that I
love to debate. And I love the Bears, so I don't know how that'll work out that way. But yeah, I love to debate. They're like, oh, don't talk about that. He'll debate. So I think they really know me. They know that. I think they also know it comes from a good place. So.
Well, there you have it. And even in the end, you proved my point. You know, you're a Bears fan. There's proof nobody's perfect, folks.
No one's perfect. Don't tell me you're a Packers fan. As long as you tell me you're a Packers.
No, okay. Man. I'm Cali. It's a Cali team. It's the 49ers. One of the reasons I like Notre Dame because we pulled a lot from.
Pull a lot there, yeah. The great Joe Montana. That 49ers were my second favorite team growing up. So just so you know, I respect that. And yeah, the Bears. That's a whole nother show, bro. Because that's God. The decade.
We'll have you back. We will definitely have you back.
And thank you.
Where can my audience find you? Anything you got going up, and anything you just want to share with them that we didn't cover?
First off, I want to thank you again, Alpha, for asking me and having me on. It's always a pleasure when I can come on and share, especially with good brothers like yourself. If you guys want to, you can follow me at Instagram it's _Siaka Massaquoi. X is Siaka _Massaquoi, as you see here. And I just started my Facebook page back up again because I was like, you know what, let's get it out there. So you can find me on Facebook at Siaka Massaquoi. I do got some pretty cool stuff happening. Heading to California on Monday to shoot the second season of California. Move to Texas. We have a movie coming out in early November called Best Thing About Christmas. Is a Christmas musical, and it's not one of those cheesy Christmas musicals. It actually has heart, and it's actually pretty gritty. So you check that out too, guys. And I am just came on as producer and one of the actors of a new a movie called, it's a pro-life comedy called Baby Shower. I know people are pro-life comedy. But you know what? I'm a big believer in the last thoughts I'll say here. As artists, we have to start, especially on the right, we have to lead the way of culture. So pro-life comedy needs to exist. Why? Because it doesn't exist. And we can't wait for the other side to try to do it for us. We need to create it ourselves. So check out babyshower.com if you want to support. Other than that, I think that is it. If I forgot anything, we'll be back to talk about it. But thank you again, Alpha, for having me, man. I appreciate you.
100%. And I love your take on comedy. I agree. Laughter is important. Here's one of the things. Yep. When you laugh, you're smiling.
Yeah.
And you can go ask any boxer out there. When you're about to get hit, you smile. And why do you smile? Because when you make a frown or a stiff face, you only use very few muscles. Right. When you smile, you use them all. Your jaw is your strongest when you're smiling.
Yeah.
That's why when you get punched, you want to be smiling when you get punched. If you don't want to get lights out,
if you don't want to go to sleep.
Siaka, the honor's been mine, brother. I appreciate it. I look forward to the future conversations we have.
Yes.
And to people that are listening. That's why this show is called People. Behind every athlete, there's a story. Behind every person that's found God, there's a story. Behind every addict, there's a story. There's a world full of stories. And right now you're living yours. Be the main character, because you are. And no matter what age you are, how young, midlife, old, it is never too late to take control of your life and be like, you know what? I'm taking control today. Yes. And I know today's story. I know there's someone in the audience that's struggling with addiction. I know that exists. Statistically, that exists.
Yes.
And if there was any time God was trying to talk to you, there's a reason you watched today. And let this story be the thing that influences you guys. Good night. God bless. Don't forget to pray. Pray for this country. Pray for this president. Pray for us. And we'll catch you next time. Simplify. First in, last out. Get ready to ignite a revolution with soft disclosure. This isn't just a product drop. It is a full-on movement that's about to shake things up. This is a personal care that doesn't mess around. No compromises, just pure, unapologetic quality. First up, the lotion is supercharged with the low goat milk and our exclusive Badlands oil blend. This isn't your average drugstore goop. It's a barrier restoring powerhouse. Choose unscented when you want to clean, and simple or vanilla citrus when you want to smell like you actually give a damn. Then the deodorant, natural, aluminum free, and straight up badass, built to last 2 months of daily use with scents like crisp mint or bold lemon grapefruit. No gimmicks, just protection that actually delivers. My lips are sticking, folks. And finally, the tallow bar. And no, it's not deodorant. It's a vanilla coffee tallow stick, primal fuel for your skin that's been through hell. Rub it where you need serious moisture, elbows, hands, knees, basically anywhere you're tired of feeling like sandpaper or just want baby soft skin. Every bottle, stick, and bar is handcrafted in Colorado by Badlanders who live and breathe truth. Partnering with Willow Wind Farm and Badlands Media, we're putting our money where our morals are. Soft disclosure. Make truth your routine. Head to softdisclosure.com. Use code Badlands for $5 off and join the fight today.